What's up, guys? We got another game with the black pieces. We are now rated finally above 900. We're 904. Crystal is 816. Again, we're facing E4. We're going to mostly face E4 at the lower ratings, even though it's probably their strongest move. And we respond as we have previously with D6 on the first move, controlling, just making sure. What's the purpose of this move? Well, the purpose is we want to bring our knight out. We just don't want him to kick it. That's it. So we control that square a little bit. We control this square. Now I can bring our knight out. Fine. What is it with these people and putting their queen on E2? Jesus Christ. Is there somebody out there making videos telling people to set their piece up like this? Why do they keep doing this? I don't understand. It makes no sense. It keeps blocking their pieces. And what is it with this square that they love so much? It's driving me crazy. Oh my god. Okay, so again, as usual, I'm going to develop this knight anytime they do something dumb with their queen, just because of the nice access it gives, the nice tempo moves that I'll have. Oh my god, it's so frustrating. What is wrong with these people? And if it's the most powerful piece and you want to move it, I at least understand those people who put it here, you know, for some ridiculous attack. But what's queen e2? Okay, so now he goes c3, trying to build up a nice strong center and stopping my knight from jumping in. Fine. Now I'm gonna develop my other knight, put some pressure on this pawn, preparing, getting one step closer to castling. He's defending this pawn this way. That's fine. I'm now going to play an early e5. He hasn't played any moves that stop me from playing it, so I'm just going to control the d4 square. So now if he pushes his pawn, which he probably wanted to, I can just take. So now he pushes this pawn. What does it threaten? Maybe to displace my knight. What's the drawback? This guy has only made pawn moves and his queen move, so he's not developing any of his minor pieces. He's not getting closer to castling. So that's horrible. So what do I have to do? All I have to do is keep developing. So I'm going to develop my bishop to its extremely active square, where it hits a lot of squares on the board. If he wants to make more pawn moves, that's fine. I'll just jump my knight to the side, which has a nice coordinating square with the bishop. But he doesn't do that. He shocks us all and makes a queen move. Queen to b5, hitting the pawn, pinning the knight, and losing more time. Okay, I'm gonna let him take this pawn. I wish this knight was defended though, that would have been great. I could take this pawn here maybe. If he captures, I have queen here. If he blocks with the pawn, I have check and I could pick up his rook. Otherwise, if I take here and he takes with the pawn and I give a check, he has to move his king. I could jump my thing in here, which hits the bishop, but it's protected and I don't feel like calculating, so there's that. So let's just do something simple chess. He's attacking the pawn. I don't care because I'm up so much in development. I wanted to go bishop e7 and castle and let him take the pawn, but the knight would be hanging in that line, which is the only annoying thing. So since he wasted so much time with his queen, I'm just going to play one queen move, queen c8. It puts extra pressure on the diagonal because it creates a battery. But now I can just play a6 and kick the queen, and everything's fine. Queen on c8 may look a little weird, but it does defend the b7 pawn. It does protect the light squares a little more. He develops his bishop, which attacks my bishop. But I think I'm just going to kick his queen. He gets a piece, I get a queen. He gets a queen, I get a piece. That's something. If I take the bishop, he takes the bishop. That's something as well. But what else do we have? Let's see. Again, if I kick the queen, he'll take here. What if I take with the pawn? Then his queen is still hit. I kind of like that. Let's go with that one. I don't want to trade too many pieces because I'm ahead in development, so maybe if I can, I don't know, only trade the bishops, see what happens. I mean, my knights are out. I'm 2 moves away from developing. He moves the queen, but the downside of this is it disconnects from the bishop. So now his bishop is hanging, and I win the game. If he tries this, I could just take it backwards or forwards because the rook is protected. He develops his knight. What does this threaten? Threatens my bishop. What's the downside? His knight's ugly on the rim, and now that I'm up a piece, trades are good for me. I'm going to throw in an intermezzo move. B5. This gives me a little more space on the queen side with my pawns. It also controls the c4 square, so his piece can't jump into it. It also hits the queen with tempo. So now he goes back home, and you can see his pieces are nicely placed for the next game. And this guy's on the side of the board. Awesome. But now he has no light square bishop, so you could retreat it back. But I feel like this move is annoying for him because it controls all the light squares in his position, and he has no light square bishop to challenge me. And if his knight wants to hit this square, like, it really can't arrange it easily. Maybe this way. Although maybe my bishop is stuck there. But I guess at any point I can just move it back and double my pawns. I'm up a piece, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, also I forgot all about this idea. I wanted to do this before. And his idea was to move the king. But now he can't move the king because this bishop cuts this diagonal and the queen took the escape square. So now if I take the knight, I mean the pawn, and he takes the knight. Oh, I move my queen though off the dark diagonal. See? That's why it's important to observe every move with changes. So he develops his knight to this square. But now it can't go on this circuit and hit my bishop. So my bishop's kind of cemented here. And his knight's not going anywhere. Maybe it threatens an f4 pawn break, but that's not scary for me. So I'm just going to develop a bishop and castle. I'm up a piece. I probably have good moves, but I'm up a piece, so safe moves are good moves too. And now he can never play the desirable d4, which is what he would want to play in a position like this after castling. So now he moves his pawn. What does this threaten? Maybe he's trying to prepare f4. The downside, he's not developing his pieces. They're stuck. He's not castling. He's just wasting time. Also, it weakens these light squares. So now I can bring my queen in, and that looks devastating. So I'm going to bring my most powerful piece to a powerful square right by his king, and I the g2 square. He has no light square bishop, so making these light square weaknesses is even dumber. And your opponent left the game. You can claim victory. Oh, they're back. I thought they ran away. I'm sorry for doubting you, Crystal. I had just assumed you saw it was coming and ran away. Okay, so they were preparing f4. But I mean, at this point, like, these pawns have nothing to do with anything because your king is about to get checkmated or something like that. You could bring the queen in and hit the rook. You could bring the knight in first. I think I'm going to bring the knight in. It's funnier. It's funnier. Also, you could have brought it in this way because there was a pawn hanging, but we'll like to say this is calculated. He takes our pawn with his knight, which just, he's trying to divert our attention, but even if we divert it, we win another piece, so We don't mind diverting it, but we're not gonna be fooled by it. We're gonna go queen in here, threatening not his rook, threatening checkmate in one. Right? So if we go here and he, let's say, stops it, or if we go here, we let him take with check, giving us this fork, we just move our king, right? So we don't care about his taking his knight. We don't care about giving him another threat, another fork, because what's much more important is he's going to be checkmated. And so you put your priorities in order, whereas a lower rated player might snap take, automatically take, right? But you don't want that. And so as I expected, he's lured by this check. Maybe he thinks it's some counterplay, but it's actually not. Because you could move your king anywhere, literally, but I'm going to move it here just because the game's over. And this rook obviously doesn't matter. Oftentimes, you can give up your rook in the corner for a knight that has traveled 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to take it. In the beginning of a game, where you've been developing your pieces the whole time, you can often give up that rook. So he removes the attack on the rook, and he's defending this checkmate threat. So that was nice. Good for you, guy. So I'm just gonna, I guess, move my knight around and take this and threaten checkmate again. Again, my rook's hanging. I don't care because queen takes rook is checkmate, which he obviously doesn't want. So he'll have to move it. The problem with moving it is my knight has this square, which is not a fork. It's actually checkmate. So he moves his rook because I was threatening checkmate. Now, but what happens if I go queen here? If he moves his rook back, you can take it with checkmate. If I go queen here and he moves his knight, right? You could take that. His king is trapped. So that's checkmate no matter what. Do we have something cooler? This forces rook takes. And do we have a really cool move there? No, it's just the same mates. So we'll just go with the checkmate in the corner. This is going to force a piece here, and whichever piece goes back, we just take it, and then we take the other one with a checkmate finale on f1. So rook here, queen here is mate in 1. And yeah, my rook's hanging. You see, his knight's in my camp, but what did that really accomplish for him? Nothing. I'm black again. This is the 4th game in a row. We're playing a 960, Nicholas Makot or something. He plays d4 on the first move, and he follows it up with the bishop coming out. This is in the style of the London. I like to play c5 on move 2, immediately attacking their center with my side pawn. He defends his center, trying to continue with the London style setup. But the downside of moving this bishop so early in the game is that it undefends this square. I'm immediately going to put pressure on that square by moving my queen out, because he created a weakness so early. This comes with the tempo, so it's not too much a waste of time. You're going to develop next, and he usually wastes time trying to defend it like this. This move doesn't help him much, so he goes b3, no threat. He's obviously trying to protect the pawn, but the drawback is it weakens the dark squares, which is not ideal for him. So what do we want to do? We can develop a piece. We can take this pawn in the center. If he takes with the queen. But now we also have other ideas. His dark squares are weak because he moved his bishop and he moved this pawn. So this warrants us kind of playing different. What do I mean by different? Like even moving the knight again, more tempo moves, putting pressure on dark squares. It could be tricky. So I'm going to throw this in. Again, not really wasting time. It's only a waste of time if he can tempo me back, but he can't. And if you say, well, oh, well, he can sack it for the knight, you recapture, and he gets his turn. It's like, okay, yeah, he gets the turn, but he gave up his bishop for our knight, so that's a win for us. So I don't really consider knight d5 a waste of time. And also, okay, now he puts his bishop back on a cemented square. Fine. It's our turn again. See, now I was considering taking. When you open this up, there's going to be lots of weaknesses on this diagonal. I'm going to need my dark square bishop for that. So you could take and play e6. You can play e6 first. I'm going to play e6 first and see what he does. This defends the knight. It opens up the dark square bishop. Now he defends this way with his e3 pawn and opens up a diagonal for his light square bishop. We could just develop. We could also take. If he takes with this pawn, he's kind of weak in the dark squares, so we would give a check. I would have to block something like this, but then you can get in with this. His queen would have to move. I don't know, it looks dicey for him. And if he takes the other way, let's bring out another piece that might be able to help. Let's develop a knight. If I take and he takes. So he develops his light square bishop, putting pressure on my knight. Even though this would double my pawns, I wouldn't mind taking the light square bishop from him. So I will allow that. I'm going to take now in the center, which opens up the scope for my bishop even more. And makes him choose. It gives him a decision, a chance to go wrong. So he chooses this way, which doesn't open up the diagonal for my bishop to his king. Maybe a wise choice. So let's see. What can I do now? Well, I can continue developing my bishop here. What else can I do? I wouldn't really think Keto because then I create lots of dark square weaknesses in my own position. I feel like let me just castle and see what happens. I don't see any rush to do anything. If he develops this knight, he's going to hang this pawn. If he takes... Okay, he does take. It does ruin my pawn structure. But now I get the bishop pair. And you may say, is it worth it? Well, I guess try it out in a bunch of games. You know, double your pawns on purpose, take the bishop, and then try to play actively and see what happens. You know? So he develops his knight, which is nice because it aims at the center and prepares castling. Can't really go wrong with that. I'm going to castle because it's the obvious safe move. And now that the e-file is open, you don't want your king to be caught there. So he has a very solid setup once he castles. And there's nothing really wrong with it. My pawn structure is damaged, but I don't really care. He develops his queen to the center, which eyes my king, which doesn't have a knight protector here, which would be nice to throw in the center, because I traded my knight for his bishop. But I do have a bishop, 2 bishops. Now I just need to rearrange my pieces in such a way that everything is nice and harmonious. I'm going to start with rook over, because it immediately eyes his king. And so that creates discoveries, and you increase the power of your position because the rook touches this many squares. He castles, which is fine. But now we still need to develop. I guess we want to develop our bishop this way, maybe with something like this. I guess we'll develop our queen at the end after everything else is in position. We'll just leave it here for now. It's annoying that we're going to block off the diagonal this way with the pawn, but you can always reroute it, so it's no big deal. Because we have to move this knight too. But first, let's get our bishop out. This bishop, I feel like we need to connect our rooks. So we're going to go here, which controls this square from his pieces. He also can't go here without hanging the knight, so no checkmate threats. And now he's x-raying my rook, which is undefended. So I need to move this bishop to defend my rook so I don't walk into something. I want to put my bishop here, but I can't, obviously. I could put it here. I kind of want to go here though, so I could put it here. If I go here, create some dark square weaknesses. I don't know. You could also put it here or here. It's not a big deal, actually. Interesting. Where do I want my piece? We'll just develop it to the like a more active spot and see if he wants to kick it or not. You can always go back. He can never play g4 because the bishop's in the way. And so we can always go this route. And that's kind of nice because his queen is staring at it. Yeah, and with our bishop there, we should be pretty safe too. So he does kick it. I'm not going to take the knight, which can't jump into the center. You know, maybe if it could jump into the center, I would look at it differently. But I'm just going to go back because I really want to plant my bishop in this super solid square and control this light square diagonal. So that way his queen has no pressure on my king, and he has no light square control. Ideally, it would be awesome if I could reroute my knight 1, 2, 3 in 4 moves here, but it's 4 moves and I'm not sure what you get after all that. I'm going to bring my bishop back just so it's on a defended square. I don't like my pieces being loose. Now there's never any tactics against the bishop or my king, and it comes with a threat. And because his queen can't retreat diagonally, he doesn't have any convenient squares. So does he have to go onto the d file now and walk into something? It's important to think that if I move my bishop here to open this, he can take with his queen, I take with my rook, he takes with his rook, that's checkmate, because I can't block with my bishop because it's on f6. So now I have to be careful not to walk into checkmate, but I actually wanted to reroute my queen anyway, right? That was one of the things I wanted to do. I could also control the light squares and go in this way. That's kind of clever. That is clever. You could go this way, adding a defender. Well, what's his next move? I guess he can try to go here. I'm obviously not going to take, and that creates no threats. Whatever his next move is, I can throw my queen. What if he goes c4? Yeah, then I don't want my queen there, so let's not do that. I guess we'll bring it back home. Add extra protection to the back rank, and now we can move our bishop. Something like here for now. So he moves his bishop and attacks my dark square diagonal, attacking the bishop another time. But if I just move... Wait, if I just take his bishop, he can't take back because I'll take his queen. So if I take his bishop, he gets a rook, I get a queen. He gets a queen, I get a rook. He gets a knight, I go knight e2, he gets a bishop, I get a knight, and I win. Okay, so I think he just hung a piece. Oh, he took back, and now his queen is just hanging, so I'm going to take that, of course. I thought he just blundered in a different way, but how foolish of me. And now we have this piece hanging. There's no back rank mate for him because I have my rook. So I expect I'm going to take this. He's going to double his rooks, going for the back rank mate, which I mean, I can just go h4 and have space for my king. No problem. I think I could go h3. That way I don't block any squares for my bishop. I think I'll go with that. Now there's never any ideas for him. No counterplay. h4 is super nice, but h3 is also nice. He develops his knight, he improves his knight, and it comes with tempo, so that's a good move for him. But it's a little late. I'm just going to throw my queen to a semi-active square. Also, you could have maybe gone to f4. That's fine too. This supports... Okay, so he throws his pawns up the board in front of his king, but he's down a lot of material. I don't really see it working out for him. I'm just going to move my king to the side. Now there are no checks on the back rank. He's pushing the pawns in front of his king, and now I'm going to go h5. That way, if he decides to take me, I take, he has no attack, and if he pushes, I just move my queen, and my king is even safer than before because now his pawns protect me as well as my own. I'm going to move my queen to its most active square, and there's no way to dislodge it, right? The center's so well defended by these doubled pawns that are so... I mean, I don't know why I'm doing this. There are doubled pawns, but it's because they're not bad, right? They're very helpful in this case. So now he makes random pawn moves, but I have less than a minute, so I'm going to block his rook's file, so now his rooks are dumb. Also, threatening to win a piece. If he moves the piece, I'm threatening different checkmates. So he throws in this check, which also opens up another check. A little bit clever. I'm going to take with the pawn, which opens up the f-file for my other rook, so that's super dangerous. And it protects my king with another pawn, so this is nice. It does give him this check, but who cares? My bishop's not hanging. And I'm up 8 points of material, so... So this guy should resign. I have 40 seconds though, so let's see how I convert. And I mean, I tried to take advantage of the weaknesses created by b3, but you kind of have to take what your opponent gives. I tried to apply pressure. Maybe I had better moves, but I don't really have too much time to think. So he takes my bishop. I could take the knight. I'm just going to take the knight, of course. He took a piece. I'm going to take a piece. He attacks my queen. I'm just going to sidestep it for 1 second so I can collect my thoughts on a square where I know he can't attack it, so I can decide what I'm going to do next with 20 seconds on my clock. I think I'm just going to double up on the f-file, which he walks into. I'm going to throw this check in because I have 20 seconds, and... I have 18 seconds. $15 seconds. $13 seconds. Just gonna bring my queen in. Check. 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 Oops. Yeah, do not do this, folks. No, almost timed out. I still made it. Oh my god, that was so bad. Okay, so when you guys do this, don't use your pawn, okay? Do it with the queen and the knight, right? These two are enough, but I will try to be lazy and just do it this way. When you do it that way, the knight's actually a hindrance because you can't do the ladder mate. Like, you can't pre-move it because the knight's always in the way. And it helps him with stalemate. It's okay. We still gain 2 points. Real loss, miscoat. He still lost 2 points, but I feel like he should have gained points. He deserved that. That was nice. Oh my god. And I need to move faster as well. That would be helpful. Okay, so we got another game. We're going to keep climbing and move a little faster. Submit your games in the Discord.